Decoded.
Okay, welcome everyone to this deep dive. Today we're opening up some excerpts from the book After Wisdom, and it's a really interesting comparison between ancient Greece and ancient China.
It really is.
Yeah.
What's surprising, I think, is how it challenges our whole idea of what wisdom even is.
Right. Forget just thinking, wisdom is a list of wise sayings or something.
Exactly. This book digs into how that wisdom was recorded,
Yeah.
what shapes it took, and, well, how two very different cultures, thousands of years ago, actually went about trying to figure things out.
So our mission really is to pull out some key ideas from these sources that might make you think a bit differently about ancient wisdom, looking beyond philosophy to myths, oracles, some surprising stuff.
Yeah, because traditionally, scholarship often separates things out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You have mythos, like the stories, the non-rational side, and then logos, the rational argument, the philosophy. But this book argues that, well, you get a much more balanced view, especially comparing cultures. If you study them together, look at the whole picture.
That makes sense. Don't just put things neatly in boxes. And a big part of that picture, according to the book, is focusing on the form wisdom takes, even how people, practiced it.
Right. There's been a bit of a shift, hasn't there? Away from seeing wisdom as just this revealed, fixed truth that's the sort of idealist view,
Okay.
towards something more. Well, they call it praxeological, focusing on the practical ways wisdom was actually used, how it functioned.
So less about just what was said and more about the how it worked in society, maybe.
Precisely. And when you focus on practice and form, you start seeing wisdom pop up in some unexpected places in these ancient texts. Like the whole idea of humans trying to get wisdom directly themselves, rather than just, receiving it passively from the gods.
Okay.
Yeah, the book looks at what it calls self-divinization texts. It compares stuff like Plato with the Chinese Neye. Older traditions might talk about gods giving wisdom occasionally, sure. But these texts describe actual practices, states of being, that let humans kind of cultivate wisdom inside themselves.
Wow, that's a pretty big shift. And it makes you think about written texts, too, right? In Greece, you had oracles, seen as divine advice, often written down.
Right.
You'd think the text is the wisdom. But the book points out that critics, even historians like Herodotus, were just as interested in how these oracles got used, interpreted, collected, even.
Absolutely. Herodotus tells us people had chests, even houses, just full of oracle collections. So the authority wasn't just the words. It was tied up with the temple, the city, the collective memory, the whole context.
It is dynamic.
Very, which makes a text like the Zhuangzi, the Taoist one, so interesting.
Oh, yeah, the one that calls books a fossilized vestige.
That's the one, and had a famous line, something like, the one who knows doesn't speak, the one who speaks doesn't know.
Right.
But then, the Zhuangzi itself is book recording this. It's kind of the perfect example of that tension, isn't it?
Yeah.
Between wisdom being beyond fixed words and needing words to pass ideas on.
Like the Jing, too.
Yeah.
The divination text.
Exactly like the Jing. It's
Yeah.
a text full of oracular knowledge, but its meaning always depends on the moment you consult it, how you interpret it then and there.
So wisdom isn't just sitting there on the page. It's in the interpretation, the practice, the context.
And sometimes it shows up in the most unexpected forms, really challenging that image we have of the wise old sage, stroking his beard.
How so?
Well, the book points out how both Heraclitus in Greece and the Laozi in China use imagery of children, infants even, to get across really profound ideas.
That seems counterintuitive. Children.
Yes. Like the Laozi talking about returning to infancy is this state of untainted virtue or potential. It's not literally about babies.
Right. It's a metaphor.
It's a powerful metaphor for an adult state of being, maybe appearing simple or even clueless to others, but actually embodying a deeper, unpretentious kind of wisdom.
And Heraclitus.
He does similar things. There's that story where young boys supposedly trick Homer, the wisest Greek, right, with a simple riddle about lice they caught. It uses the image of kids to point towards complex truths, like how opposites can be unified.
So it makes you rethink who or what even has wisdom. It's not always the person speaking.
Exactly. Wisdom can be reflected in unexpected places. The supposed innocence of a child, maybe, or even just observing nature. Think of Confucius by the river.
Oh, right. Look at how it flows on like this, never stopping.
Yeah, just that simple observation. Later commentators read so much into it, comparing it to Heraclitus' own river imagery. It just shows how wisdom can spark from these moments of simple awe, recognizing something fundamental, often found where you least expect it.
Okay, so wrapping this up then. This look at after wisdom really shows that ancient wisdom wasn't just profound statements or philosophical texts. It was tied up in how ideas were expressed and passed on.
Definitely. Through myths, oracles, texts, practices, all of it mattered.
And it could pop up in surprising forms, like using the image of a child, which really challenges that traditional idea of the sage.
It really pushes us, I think, to see wisdom not just as a set of answers, but maybe as a way of seeing,
Yeah.
or a practice, or even something reflected back at us from the world, often in unexpected ways.
Yeah. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If they found wisdom in such diverse, sometimes strange forms, children, oracles, just watching a river, what forms of wisdom might we be overlooking today just because we expect it to look a certain way?